Hello, Mario. Guten Erev Shabbos.
Good Erev Shabbos.
How are
How
you?
are you?
Baruch Hashem.
Good.
Baruch
Good.
Hashem. It's Shabbos.
Yep. What's that? Ah,
Hi.
this must be water.
Hello, Mario.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
Harry. Hallo.
Yeah. Hello.
Master,
Hi, Walter.
how are you doing?
Good.
Good.
64.
Only before I
Oh.
forget,
Yeah, tomorrow 6:30.
tomorrow, no, 5:20 because the rabbi is giving a Mevorchin shir.
Oh,
5:20.
Yeah,
What time is the Mavorchim Shir?
6:20.
So let's just make it 5:30.
5:30. Take
Okay.
10 more minutes of sleep. Thank you. Okay.
Samech Daled Amid Aleph. And then no Navi Shir, but we will learn we'll probably learn about 5:00 on Sunday.
Okay, I send the notice to now this year already.
Thank you. Kenny is back. So I saw Kenny last night. Okay. Samech Daled Amid Ravacha Bred Ravacha.
Ernie, just to let you know that the thing starts at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening.
Not at 6:30?
No.
Okay, but I think if we leave at 5:30, we'll get there on time.
Are you sure you'll do the daf in a half an hour? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We talked about yesterday that if somebody lent somebody pennies and he got back more pennies, so that you just assume that it's a mistake, either in counting by fives or by tens. It's not ribis. And but Amar Ravaka Bered Rav Ravashi, the Inish Takife Hudaloyav Matana Mat. And then we said sometimes a person gives more back because he wants to give a guy a gift. But if he's a mafia guy, very like a strong arm guy who's not going to give gifts, so What do we have to do? Say that it's a mistake or Malay?
It's like a case, keep the change. Is that similar? You tell the guy,
It was
oh,
like
you
a
keep the
count,
change.
it was like a counting error. When he gave him back, we don't assume it's ribbis because like he gave him back, the mistake was by fives, right?
Oh.
5, 10, 15, 20, or 10,
Yeah.
20, 30. So we assume that it was like a
No counting.
rounding error. But if it's then we said also, if he gave back more, then we assume he gave back more because the guy he gave it to was a guy who normally didn't accept gifts. And he created this loan so that he could give him a gift by giving him back more. It's also not
Right.
real.
By the way, they didn't learn the acronym KESEF. KESEF stands for Kesef Sofrim Pamayim. Counted twice.
Counted twice. Yeah. But if he's an inish takifu loyav matona mai, what would we say if he's a mafia guy who we know doesn't give gifts? So is it just an error? Or but no. Maybe he's a guy who once stole from the guy he's paying back, and he's giving him back more to be Meshiv the Gzela, without telling him that, I stole from you and I'm giving it back. And we're going to learn the din is, you don't have to inform a person when you return Gzela that you're returning the Gzela. Netanya, Goizos Chaveru. You steal from a friend, then you happen to be giving him back. You go out to dinner and you're going to split the dinner with him, and you split it, but you give him an extra $10 because you had stolen $10 from him before. So if Ivliya Becheshban Yotza, your Yotze, your mitzvah of Hashavas Gzela. Now, the Inish, the Osim Muhammad, the Loshakal Vatur Ba'adei Mai. What if this guy who did this borrowing and giving back is a strange guy from a different locale that never did business with him? So it's not a return of Gzela, it's not a matana. So again, maybe it's a mistake. Or no, Dilma Inish Achwina Gzela. Somebody else had stolen it. The Amerlan had told this guy, if this guy, some guy borrows money from you and you have to return it, Ivle Becheshben, just include this amount as a return of exam, but he didn't want to embarrass himself by publicizing that he had gotten it. He was sitting on the side in the yeshiva of Rav. He heard them talk about cucumbers, and he didn't know what they were talking about. Passer to come Rav. When Rav got up, Amarluhu.
I think he's talking about pumpkins. Gourds is pumpkins, no?
A gourd is it's either pumpkins,
Well, it's something that has something
zucchini.
has seeds in it. A pumpkin has seeds in it. I
But
don't think
a zucchini has seeds in it too. So a gourd, anything it's a gourd. So pumpkins are gourds. So are zucchinis. So Cora is Laganario vulgaris. It's from the family of gourds, and they're different types. So they were saying, but he didn't know what the context was. And so my Kori, what is this? The last that they're talking about. What the hell is going on here? Amru liyochi kama, this is what Rav said. Hi man diyav zuzi liginoya kari. Somebody prepaid a gardener. He's giving him money up front for future delivery of gourds. V'ka'azli asar kari b'nei zarta. Right now, the price is the normal price, which is 10 gourds for a certain length, bedinner, for $1. V'amar lei, and the gardener tells his buyer, if you prepay me, give me money now, I will provide you with gourds much bigger, the size of an amma after time. So again, this is a question of ribbis, because he's prepaying and he's delaying payment, he's getting paid for that. So the din is imis isnu shari. If he has these long gourds now, it's permitted. Lisnu usr. But he doesn't have it now, it's prohibited. Because if he gives him larger gourds after time, at the price of smaller gourds, there's ribbis. So what says Pshita? We learned this already. What's the chiddush here? Oh, a gourd grows on its own. It means previously we've been talking about adding other money or different. Here, the gourd itself is going to grow on its own. Maybe shop your dummy, because the gardener's not adding anything. He's just waiting until it grows bigger. And he didn't do a maisa. Kamash Malon that no, Rav holds that this is ribis. Kiman, ki aitana, the Tanya, oilich lichlav is Ezav. A person is about to milk his goats, or to shear his sheep. Ularadis is kavaraso, or to take honey out of his honeycombs. On the way, Matzachaver va'armalo, the farmer says to this friend, I will sell you the milk that my goats are going to produce. He doesn't specify how much per gallon. Whether so it might be a lot, might be a little. That's the key. Or what I'm going to shear is going to be sold to you. The honey I'm going to get out, I'm quoting you a specific price, and the guy doesn't know exactly what he's going to get. So mutter. But I will sell you what the goats give, but at such and such price per gallon, or so that is going to be considered ribis. And these are examples also. The wool grows on a sheep memela. The animal makes milk memela. Even the less since he doesn't physically have the object now, usr. However, ikadi amri amarava no. Kiva the b'mela karabi shapir dummy. Since it grew on its own, it's okay. But if you detail a certain amount, it's usr. So the difference is like this: when you milk a cow, so the milk now goes away. Then you milk it again, tomorrow goes away. New milk is being produced all the time. So 6 months from when you give him the milk, it didn't grow from the original milk. But the gourd, he saw I'm going to sell you this gourd for 10 centimeters. But you give me the money now, I'll give it to you but the same gourd grew, right? You remove the milk or the sheep, and now new ones are going to come. But here the gourd itself is growing. If you remove the gourd, there's nothing going to be left. So it's as if the gourd was in the possession of the buyer from the get-go. That's why it's not considered ribis. It's permitted for a person to say, Hilich arba zuzi achavita dechana. I'm giving you now $4 for this barrel of wine. I'm not going to collect it until later. And then itakva, if it turns into vinegar, so you're responsible, b'shuscha. The achrayus is going to be on you to give me good wine. Then iyikara izila, if it gets more expensive or cheaper, b'shusi. I accept whatever, I will accept that achrayus, whether it's a loss for me or a gain for me. So you see, you're not cuts of an automatic price, which is built in ribbis, because he may lose, he may gain. So you can prepay for something, for a specific barrel, and to make this t'nai, that if the price changes, it'll be it's my achrayus. And if it turns into vinegar, it's your achrayus. That's permitted. If the buyer does not accept achrayus regarding the reduction in price, then it's prohibited. Amalei Rav Sharvi Labai. Hai karav l'soch v'rochak lehefsedu. This seems to be more to the advantage of the buyer than the seller. The chashash of it turning into vinegar is low. Amalei Abaye kiven the mekabala lezula. It becomes equal because since the buyer accepts, even if now the wine that he gave money for now goes down in price and he accepts that, it makes it karav l'zel. Then they both have the same risk on either side. Mishnah. Hamavis chaveiro lo yidur b'chatzero. China. So a lender makes a loan to a borrower. That lender is not allowed to sleep in the borrower's chutzner for free, because it's as if he's getting a reward for making the loan. So again, this is not going to be ribis deraisa. This is avak ribis. But the Rabbanon prohibit any type of reward given to the lender because he made the loan. So if the borrower has a chutzner and he allows the lender to use that chutzner for free, that's prohibited. He shouldn't rent it at a cheaper price. It has to be market price, because he's getting a benefit for the loan. Rav Yosef bar Yomi am Rav Nachman. Avul pisha amru. Now, we have a din. Let's say there happens to be there's a house somewhere. It's unoccupied. And a homeless person sleeps there without the owner knowing about it. As long as there's no loss for the owner, right? It's zen and that's permitted. If you don't permit it, it's a midas dom. And he doesn't have to pay anything, but he'll veil the darbachatzeru. But if that very guy gave him a loan and he's dwelling there, we force him to pay rent. Otherwise, by staying there for free, it's viewed as a benefit given to him for making the loan. Now, my kamashmalan. Now, why was this said by Rav Yosef bar Yomi? We've learned it Tanina from our Mishnah. If you'd only had our Mishnah, that's a chutzner that normally is available to rent, and a person who we know normally rents. And therefore, if he wouldn't sleep there, he would sleep somewhere else. But a chutzner that's normally not used to rent, or a person that normally doesn't rent, so I would think aim low. So Kamash Malon, he has to pay something, otherwise it looks like ribis by staying there without payment. Now, Ikid the Amri, Other people learn this dialogue in a different way. Amr Rav Yosef Bar Yomi Amr Rav Nachman. Somebody who squats in somebody's property and doesn't tell the owner doesn't have to pay him anything. However, if he says loan me money and you can hang out of my chutzner, the lender would have to pay him money. Now, what's the difference between these two nuschos? Manda Omar, who said you're chayiv to pay, if hilveyu, then kol shekain, if he said hilveni, we made a t'nai from the beginning. It certainly looks like ribbis. But Lamanda Omar, hilveni, maybe it's only then that he has to pay. He didn't beferish say hilveni, then lo, maybe he wouldn't have to pay anything. My time, given to be called lavadai because he initially made the loan without that in mind, maybe so less than both. So maybe we wouldn't say it's an issue for him to dwell there without paying. So Rav Yosef Bar Chama, who was the father of Rava, let's say there were people who owed him money, and he would catch their avodim. He would sort of grab them and work them. Particularly because he saw the avodim, maybe they were lazy. So he would work them to work for him. My time of it, Marachi. How can you do this? Why isn't it Gzela? Amr, Anak Rav Nachman's really. Sham Rav Nachman, Abdinam Kreisa Lo Shavi. You know, an Eved and his work and what he has to be fed is equal. You don't gain anything. So I'm not, even if I go ahead and buy an Eved and work him and I have to feed him, I'm not marviach anything. So therefore I can do this as well. So Omar, so Rava responded, Eimer Dam Rav Nachman, maybe Rav Nachman only said this, could go into Ari Avde de Marakim Bekuvi. There was an Eved named Ari. He would dance, he'd waste his time. So for that type of Eved, he wasn't worth it for the owner. But Avdi Achmi Miyama, but an Eved that works hard, who says he said that? So Rava's father answered, Amalei, Anoki had Rav Daniya Barav Katina Rav Sphirli. I hold like Rav Daniya that Hatoikef Avra Shalaver Vasu Malacha Potter. I see my neighbor's Eved and he's lazy. I see him wandering the streets. I can grab him, make him work for me. And I'm Potter, I don't have to pay the guy anything. And it's not Gzela. The Nichale de lo Nisri Avde. The owner of the Eved is happy about that. That he doesn't want his Eved hanging around and being lazy and not working. And having his friend work it for him to make that Eved used to work is not a thing that the Baal will protest against. Okay. Yashikoyach, everybody.
Remember the Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, Koyach.